Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lagata Shahani and I'm a content creator from Mosotho but currently staying in Zimbabwe. Today I am not alone. I am with Tina Sparks, and if you don't know her, what are you doing? Hello, I'm with your favorite Zim YouTuber, and yeah, today she is with us at Teresa Art Studios here in Zimbabwe. Hi Tino, how are you doing?
Hey, what it do? Hey guys, how you guys doing? Hope you guys are doing alright. If you're watching me from anywhere in the world, my name is Tina Sparks, your favorite African without borders, and I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, and thank you so much for coming here. So today I'll be talking with Tino about our different experiences that we had in South Africa, and both of us we have stayed in South Africa, and we're gonna be sharing our different experiences. I'm Mosotho, who is currently staying in Zimbabwe, and Tino is a Zimbabwean. She is back in Zimbabwe.
And I'm proudly Zimbabwean.
Hello! And if you want to check that, go onto her channel. You will definitely see all her dope content about Africa. So definitely I will put her details down on the screen and in the description down below. Okay, let's start. I think I'll go first.
Yeah.
This is my channel anyway. All right. So, well, my experience in Zimbabwe was that
In South Africa.
yeah.
She loves Zimbabwe.
I love Zimbabwe so much. I have stayed in South Africa for a decade. I think 10 years.
Yeah.
Yes, I realized actually not so long ago that I had stayed in South Africa for 10 years. And how long did you stay in South Africa?
I think it's almost a decade as well.
Oh,
Yeah, but I've been going back and forth. Collectively, it's almost a decade, I think.
Okay. So, where were you staying in South Africa?
I've stayed everywhere. One of the reasons why I love traveling is because I've been from one place to the next. I've stayed in Johannesburg, Midrand to be specific. I've stayed in Pretoria. I've stayed in Limpopo province, Burgersfort. I've stayed in Mpumalanga province, Hazyview. So if you're watching me from any of these places, hello people.
You've been there. I mean,
I've stayed in Cape Town as well.
Oh, you have
I've
been there.
really been globe trotting.
South Africa, a nomad. I think you are more of a nomad than me then, because I consider myself a nomad. But well, I'm only starting this anyway.
Yeah.
Well, as you heard her, she has stayed in different places in South Africa. For me, I stayed in one place because that's where I grew up. That's where my parents were staying. So I moved to South Africa in 2009 to go stay with my parents.
I moved to South Africa in 2009.
Is it?
Yeah,
I moved to South Africa in 2009 and I was staying with my parents, and that's where I continued with my middle school, my high school, and I went to college there as well. So, well, the experience that is different for me and is that you went there for
school.
Oh, you went there for school as well?
I went there for school. And
all right.
Yeah, until I started working in South Africa as well.
All right. Were you doing that alone or
not primary school? It was my first years of high school, so I was with family
in South Africa.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. What can you say about South Africa?
Okay, so my first impressions of South Africa, I was still a kid. I didn't know the differences in anything. I mean, if I go to a new place, yes, it's a new place and it's okay. But like the time when I started noticing things, the times I'd go back home, come to South Africa, and start noticing things, I realized that South Africa is really a beautiful country. Beautiful country with beautiful people mostly. And one of the most developed countries in Africa.
Yes.
I really like to comment on South Africa's roads, networks, and the transportation.
Yeah.
It is really beautiful.
Yeah,
and I believe very beautiful. And I believe many African countries can actually learn from that.
Yeah. So for me, my first experience, it was beautiful. All she said, that's exactly how I felt. But I felt like it was too fast. Because I guess I was coming from a rural place, so there was a fast place, but funny enough I fell in love with the place. I loved the place regardless, because that fastness, I just blended so much into it. I mean, it was so beautiful, and because I wasn't really like knowing much about like the differences about cultures and stuff, I knew I was in a different country, but I felt like I was home in South Africa.
I think for me, being a Mosotho in South Africa is easier because there are Sotho people in South Africa.
Yes, I guess that's why also I wanted to hear
Yeah.
about your experience, because you are Zimbabwean
It's
and I'm
different from being a
Mosotho.
Shona people in South Africa, and you guys already know what happens to Zimbabwe.
What happens?
I feel like it's easier to be a Mosotho in South Africa because I think people accept Sotho people, South Africans accept Sotho people better. I think because of the culture, other than the Zimbabweans people.
Oh yeah. That's another thing. In South Africa, they have 11 languages, right? And Sesotho is one of them. So in Lesotho we have Sesotho and we have Basotho. So it's easier to also relate. And I think another thing is that Lesotho is within South Africa. So I guess in a way we are South Africans because it's a country that is within. But of course, I know South Africans, they'll come for me. Please don't. I know that's not the case. Anyway, I'm proud to be a Mosotho.
It's a beautiful thing that we are all Africans. I think
Mm.
the time when people, Africans, then just come together and say, "Oh, I'm African," not really having to
identify.
you're coming
Yes.
from. I think it's beautiful. So
Yeah. Also, that's how I'm saying when I arrived.
yeah.
I never really got to experience that difference to say, oh, you're a Mosotho. Maybe in school, maybe I would just get those questions like, oh, Lesotho, are there malls? Do you guys have malls? Because, on the map, Lesotho is very small. So there are people who haven't traveled who actually look at Lesotho as if it's more the way it looks on the maps. But Lesotho is big, Of course, it's not as big as other countries, but you can still get things that you can get in other countries. There are malls, there are other things and stuff. So yeah, and I want Tino to actually visit Lesotho so that she can also experience the culture there as well.
So I got a special invite to come to Lesotho. So Lesotho here,
and she knows how to speak Lesotho. So you learned how to speak Lesotho in South Africa.
I learned how to speak Lesotho in South Africa, and personally, I'm just a person who loves speaking African languages. And it's not just South African language that I speak. I've also learned, Swahili, a bit of Luganda,
So how many languages do you know?
Maybe 8. I don't know.
Wow, all of them.
I don't know how to speak Xitsonga, Xhosa.
But isn't it stronger, like closer to Shona?
I can hear, but I'm not able to
communicate.
Yeah.
Okay, I get you. All right.
And Sepedi.
Yes, Sepedi.
Strong.
Yeah, Sepedi is almost close to Sesotho.
Yeah.
Sepedi, Tswana, Sesotho. Yes, they are definitely in one bracket.
So I know you guys, whenever I speak one of those languages, I know you guys are going to hear me. I know you'll hear me.
Yeah. The cultural difference that I got in South Africa was different from where I come from. So Lesotho is mostly Basotho. So we wear blankets.
Tell me about it.
we were. It's our culture. It's our culture.
That's a cultural clothes.
Yes. Also because it's cold. I actually think that it's mostly because it's cold. Because Lesotho most of the time it's actually very cold. So that's why people are always wearing blankets. So in South Africa, it's really you cannot be walking in town with a blanket on. Yeah, so that's another thing that I noticed. And sometimes it would get cold in South Africa, but then now you wouldn't wear a blanket. You just have to get a jacket and wear it. I think everything just kind of was the same. Yeah, I didn't really see much difference. Even if I'm trying to find what was different, nothing. Maybe the education system, I guess. Also, where I was at in primary school, we didn't have grade 1, grade 2. It's standard 1, standard 2, class 1, class 2. So going to South Africa, there was grade, and now when I arrived, they said that I was going to do standard 6, and then they thought that I was actually going to grade 9. So they wanted to actually upgrade me 2 grades upper because of grade. Then I was like, no, I'm still young. My mom was like, no, she's still young. That's cool. So that was kind of also the experience that I had, that the grades are different from Lesotho. So
for me, my experience with the education in South Africa was a bit different, because I've noticed that in Zimbabwe, we have grade 1 to grade 7. That's okay, and then we have form 1, and we don't have grade 8. Yes. So I think I started.
Do you guys have middle school in Zimbabwe?
I don't know what's middle school.
So
I guess
in South Africa there's grade 1 to grade 7 to grade 6, then 7 to 9 it's middle
Yeah.
school, then from 10 to 12 is high school.
So how is education? I think we have middle school because now from Form 1, that's like your 8th year in high school. Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4, that's middle school.
Actually,
I'd like
that's
to
like
say.
Lesotho. 'Cause
Yeah.
after you complete grade 7, you do Form 1, Form 2, up to Form
Oh.
E. Yes, up to Form E. We don't have like level O.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we have Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4, and then now we have high school, Form 5, and then Form 6. So at Form 4, you write your exams. That's like the exams that you write in grade, is it grade 9? So that grade 9, the CTA, are they called CTA exams? I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah.
as well.
And then if you fail those, you're not able to go to the next grade, etc. And then we have Form 5 and Form 6. So the difference with me with schooling in Zimbabwe and in South Africa is all about those grades. Secondly, Zimbabwean education system is hard. I'm not going to lie to you. It's so hard that I was in South Africa, and yes, I've been smart. I've always been a smart kid. But like in Zimbabwe, for you to actually be in like the top 3 in the class, or to be the, I've always been number 1 in class. But for me to be number 1, you have to work hard for it.
Yeah,
It was different that in South Africa, I never really used to study much, but because I still come first place anyway. And it also became a challenge for me. At some point, I came back to Zimbabwe for part of my high school. I thought I was smart. I was relaxed. No, girl was not smart. You have to work hard. You have to work hard for it. It went down. You have to work hard for it, and it's just a lot, man. And also, like with education, we in South Africa we had I don't know, coursework. Cause like you do portfolios. You do portfolios, and then it amounts to your final year exams. In Zimbabwe, there's exams are exams, Baba. Exams are exams. Activities.
So it's the same thing.
You know, subjects like LO, life orientation. Those are easy subjects that you can easily get a distinction. And also, I think it's so good that the education system, I like it because now you have provision of study material. You don't have to, work hard to look for it, to buy it. So I actually loved it.
Yeah. As an adult now, if you go to South Africa, how do you compare to that time when you went again?
South Africa now as an adult is different now because now I look at life differently. I'm not going to be looking about school. I don't have a kid, so school for me is out, and I think I'm done with formal education. If I'm doing any kind of education now, it's skill based. So for me, when I look at South Africa now, I'm gonna look about what does it have to offer for an African child. So we talk about job opportunities, we talk about the general standard of living, and things like that. Job wise, I've had my fair share of employment in South Africa. Of course, you as a Zimbabwean, you need to have a work permit, things like that. And
that's another thing I was going to talk about. Because you've worked in South Africa, right?
Yes, I've worked in South Africa.
How was the experience of working in South Africa?
Working in South Africa has
compared to here in Zimbabwe. Have you worked in Zimbabwe?
Unfortunately, I've not worked formally in Zimbabwe, so I wouldn't know the differences because, I wouldn't know the differences. But working in South Africa for me was okay. I really loved it. The remuneration was okay-ish until you get to a certain point in life where you want more and you want to grow because you're not an entry-level worker forever. If you work 3 years, you need a raise, you need to upgrade, you need a promotion. But because you're a Zimbabwean in South Africa, it's not going to happen easily. I understand for various reasons, but that's when I decided to say no, I'm not going to go into the formal employment anymore because it has served me well. I've loved it. I've learned a lot in the formal sector, but I need to grow financially.
I think for me, it was the same. I also worked in South Africa, actually most of the time, but majority of the jobs that I was working in South Africa, they were not like formal jobs. So one thing that I've noticed though about South Africa compared to Lesotho is that there's more money. Like you get more, compared to Lesotho. Lesotho, they don't pay much, honestly. Like the places that I've worked in Lesotho compared to South Africa, in places that were not even formal works, it was way too much. I was getting way too much. So that's one of the experiences that I realized that okay, in South Africa you get more money than in Lesotho, and I understand because of course Lesotho is more, I can we are laid back as well. So South Africa is big. That's why a lot of people they go there for employment anyway. So it's different from a small country like Lesotho. But those are one of the things that I realized that Zimbabwe, I mean, South Africa, we get more. You can get more, well, if you have your papers right anyway. For me now, with the standards of living in South Africa compared to Lesotho, is that I think they're pretty quite the same, because I've always lived with my parents in South Africa, so I've never really got to stay alone and experience that for myself. So I was always like in the house. My mom was always doing everything for me. But there isn't really much difference, honestly, between South Africa and Lesotho. Like, now that I think about it, there isn't really much, more especially about your other standards of living, like the rentals. Yes, they might be a bit expensive in South Africa because a lot of people are there. It's understandable for it to be a bit pricey than in Lesotho, because a lot of people are there for employment, and also it depends where you are in South Africa again. Because you said you've been to Midrand, Cape Town. I've only been to Rustenburg, and the cost of living in Rustenburg, I don't think is that much. Honestly, it's not. Even a lot of people, when I tell them that I've stayed in Rustenburg, like here, especially in Zimbabwe, they don't even know the place, because I guess it's in the northwest. But majority of people, they know the part of South Africa which is in Joburg, Cape Town, and I guess that's where the rentals are kind of more expensive, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. I think if you'd ask me three years from now, the standards of living, I'll say, oh, it's okay, it's perfect. I'm living well, I'm okay. But like, if when you grow older, there's certain things that you start appreciating, like peace of mind, safety, things like being able to have your own garden. I saw you with a beautiful garden right here. And for me, that's a standard of living, and I feel like I'm better off in Zimbabwe than in South Africa. And also, you'd also want to stay in a country where you are able to, invest. And you know what they say, east or west, home is best. The best place to invest is home. South Africa has nurtured me so much. I've grown so much. It is a part of me that I can never take away from myself or from my story, because it has been a beautiful journey. I love it. I loved it. Thank you, South Africa.
How are the food in Zimbabwe compared to in South Africa?
Most things are the same. Like you have muhudu, things like that. We have maguru here, the stews are the same, the chicken is the same. One thing I found interesting was the chakalaka. I also the acha, and then the semp. If you have never tasted South African semp, I don't know what you're doing.
Whoa, it's the best. It's the best. Yeah, actually, I've never tasted semp. It was like what?
Oh yeah.
And I even wanted to say that in your video that magwinya. You guys don't have magwinya here.
God, we have fed cooks. It's just flour, and it's not nice. So I don't even like that.
Yeah, same here.
But
same here.
South Africa magwinya.
Yeah. The best. Okay, so to wrap it up, did you enjoy being in South Africa for that time?
Definitely.
Same here. I love. Anyway, those are our experiences that we had in South Africa as a Zimbabwean and a Mosotho, and our experiences, they were really not different. So and overall, South Africa was great for us, and we had different experiences, I guess.
For me,
For
me, I think the differences are not going to be vast. Africans, we're in the same region, Southern Africa.
Yeah, definitely.
We are the same people. Most of you are not going to agree.
Anyway, I mean, we all believe in different things anyway. We see life differently anyway. If you have come along this far, thank you so much. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you can also share your experience about South Africa if you have stayed there before. And thank you so much for being here with me, Tino.
Thank you so much for having me.
And Tino, like I said, she has her own channel where she's doing such an amazing work with the content about Africa. So if you want to check out her channel, please, there are details in the description down below, and there's everything that you will need to see there. And when you get there, tell her I'm the one who sent you. So man, I'm grateful that she is here with me, and I'm grateful that I got to actually sit like this with her. So thank you, Tina.
Thank you so much for having me.
Alright,
so beautiful soul, you guys. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel.
We are trying to grow. Let's get to 2,000 subscribers at least.
No,
let's do 5,000, right? Alright, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Keep well and be safe. Bye. Mwah.